The dome top butter dish is a nice simple one with a very simple plate for putting the butter on, and just a bowl top. So right now I'm making the bowl a little deeper than a regular cereal bowl. You have to be careful to measure the inside diameter of it for where the plate is going to sit on it. Finish it off with a chamois and trim the extra clay off to cut down on the time spent trimming it later. The plate is just a simple plate, but while pulling it out, you get kind of an extra ridge forming as you're pulling it out, and I just use that ridge right there to make the place where the dome is going to sit, and I pronounce it a little more by squeezing it with the chamois. And of course, when it's shaped, you got to make sure that that measurement you did for the inside of the lid will fit without hitting on that ridge in there. And of course you need to finish it up with the knob, a small amount of clay, 1/8 of a pound or less. It's centered, and you push down from the top and in from the side at the same time to get kind of that mushroom shape. Smooth it up with your fingers and cut it off and set it aside to attach later when it's leather. The next day there's a minimum of trimming for the base, just a little bit on the bottom. I don't even bother to put any water down usually when I know I only have a little bit to trim off. You can just hold it in place with a finger in the middle while pushing down very lightly with a trimming tool. Wherever I scratch open, I like to put a little slip on to seal it off, make fewer pores in the surface of the clay. The top is taller and more likely to flop off, so I do use some water to stick it down. It's just like a big suction cup in a shape like that. So a little light tapping while it's centered will make it stick pretty well. But of course, if you have trouble with that, you should use 4 pats of clay around the outside. So I trim it off into a dome shape, smooth it off. Make a couple of grooves in the middle where the knob is to be applied. I put some slip on both places, including the places that have been scraped clear, and attach the knob by pushing down in the very middle and pushing on the outside. Now sometimes to improve the joint between the two, I don't think I did it this time, I'll use a wooden tool to really compress that joint, because that's the likeliest place you're going to get a little crack in drying. But here all I did was smooth off the outer side with a rib. Now I'm poking a little hole in the middle, which later on I'll smooth off before the bisque. This is to let any steam out. I have trouble with knobs popping if maybe it's because of all the slip I use or something, but helps reduce the knobs popping off of the butter dish when being fired. The French butter dish is sort of a trendy item that I've been making for 15 or 20 years, so I guess the trend continues. It's a novelty item that appeals to some people. I'm not that fond of it myself and don't use one, but a lot of people swear by them, so here we are making one. You start by pushing down the outside to get the flat part of it and making a slightly tapered in shape. Now this is one of the harder forms to make because you have very little tolerance either in width or in height. It takes quite a bit of practice to get matched sets, and even so I've got a whole row of sort of orphans that don't end up matched with each other. Always hoping I'll find one that will match it, but seems like the line gets longer and longer over time. So you make the top, and you got to measure, especially at the bottom there where it's going to be the top later when you turn it over. This will be the base that the butter dish sits in, where some water is put in, about a ½ inch or so, to seal the butter dish. And it's just a simple cylinder. The only important thing is to get the diameter right so that the top part fits right into it, which again is done with measuring with the calipers like that. Actually, that doesn't do much good as I thought of it. Oh, I got to measure this way in order to slip it over that part there. And it has to be able to go all the way down. That's where you're going to get the rub because of the tapering of it. The other thing you have to watch for is the height. Sometimes you can have the butter dish stick in the air, which isn't too good. Now the next day, or when it's leather hard, you take them back and just have to do a minimal amount of cleanup. Using a small loop tool, ribbon loop tool, to trim there. I like small loop tools for small, fine jobs, and the big pear tool for the bigger jobs. I guess that's pretty standard. The top requires a little more attention. It's also a little trickier because it's hard to turn over and have it stay in one place because of its shape. It's not a suction cup type shape, so it doesn't stick too well with water. Actually, you can use the clay that it's thrown on there. That provides a little bit of friction. If you don't have much trimming to do, and again, just hold a thumb or finger in the middle to keep it from flopping around, and trim very lightly with the small loop tool. And there I'm applying more slip to seal the surface. And that's all it takes for the top. I usually try to match them up right when I make them, to make sure that they're not too tall or too wide or something. I'll know kind of what my orphans are to begin with. The only thing about this, of course, is it takes them a little longer to dry when they're stuck together like that. So that's the French butter dish. The idea is you stuff the butter on the right into the lid, and you store it upside down with some water in the base, which is on the left.